Right. Paula Smith, thank you. Deputations. In relation to item 8.5, project scope and process for 3 network plans. Thank you.
For 3 network plans. It's in the report of the Infrastructure, Transport and Environment Committee.
Yep.
Great that you're deciding to prepare these network plans for sports parks, playgrounds and marine structures, and I gather there's a 4th being prepared for community facilities. In fact, it's a bit surprising that it's taken so long for these to start to be developed. Taken together, these assets are fundamental to people's well-being in our community. I can totally see the need for comprehensive consideration of all these facilities as citywide networks. But the way you're going about it is all wrong. It's a top-down process. It's a top-down management approach when what is needed is a bottom-up governance approach, community governance approach. It's the opposite of community governance. At the last election, there was all this rhetoric about empowering communities and their community board representatives to do grassroots community development to plan our own environments. And halfway through this triennium, we are starting to see some signs of a change in organisational culture. Just this week, community boards are starting to talk about our community plans. I see in stage 6, I would have thought that step 1 in this process would have been to have a conversation in each community with people who use and care about these assets, with community board there as well. An issues and options gathering stage, a brainstorming session if you like. All these facilities are very important to our community and to our community boards. And these network plans which will determine funding stretch out for the next 30 years. That's going to make it really hard for community boards to get anything happening that is outside what has already been planned. We've struggled with this for years. And there's another problem too. As I understand it, the preparation, review and change for management plans for parks and reserves is delegated to community boards. And I'm not sure that the process that's outlined in the report can work like that without rescinding that delegation. So I just wanted to say those things.
Thank you. Phil.
Paula, thank you for your deputation and your comments, which I think are really important for this council. And you'll have seen that on page 78 what the committee decides approving the scope of that project, that we asked that board's input be sought following approval for the scopes. So I'm wondering how would you like the process to be so that in fact the board's input is considered as soon, right at the beginning of that stage? Is
well,
that what
maybe
you like?
The board's input should have been sought before the process was set down so clearly in a report that's coming to council about how the process should be done.
I understand that fully, and I'm hoping that as council we will find a way to make sure that that still happens. And
the other thing I'd point out is that engaging with communities at combined community board seminars is one of the least effective ways of communicating with community boards. They're only attended by a very small number of people.
Thanks, Paula.
Okay. Raph?
Thanks, Paula. So, do you have any ideas for how this kind of community-led planning could actually work? Are there any examples?
We've got new community governance managers. We've got all these staff that are able to do that. And I suggest step 1 is to get all the people within our wards, do it on a ward basis, together in a room and talk about what people care about. And then that process should inform the metropolitan planning process. It shouldn't be the metropolitan planning process telling the communities what's going to happen.
Mm.
Yeah, I completely agree. The question is trying to find some framework.
And with respect to the management plans, maybe they need to be done in ward bundles so that the community boards can actually do what they're delegated to do rather than being done as a whole collective. I mean, that was a problem with the cemeteries master plan, is that was done as this metropolitan network thing, and it was just given to us like that. And people care about these reserves, they care about their community facilities, and it just creates unhappy citizens when you do it that way.
I don't think that there was an intention to do this, and it does look to me like it's a kind of a BAU process that's come through the system. It wasn't directed by councillors. It's come through the process. It's been signed off. It talks to community engagement through the community boards. But actually, you're quite right. It's around the wrong way.
It surprises me that it got this far.
How do we turn it back the other way?
Yanni has a question too, but I just wondered, Paula, if we approve the project subject to the input of the community boards, would that turn it around?
That would be fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yanni.
I think the issue is that we're being asked to approve the project scopes and then asking the community boards what they think, which seems back to front, and that's the committee recommendation. But I was really interested in just understanding if you'd heard directly from the new contractor. Our board hasn't, but I've heard that the new contractors have been going around talking to community boards, and boards felt that was quite a positive step in terms of just understanding what was happening in some of those local areas. Because this is about levels of service as much as anything else. So I don't know whether you guys have had that.
We haven't, and we've got some problems emerging with the new contractors.
Right.
Too. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's important to engage the contractor though in this process as well?
Where you're talking about sports parks and when you're talking about neighbourhood
levels
reserves?
of maintenance,
yes,
levels of service.
I guess it would be. Yeah.
All right. So, look, thank you very much, Paula. I think you've made a very strong point, and one that I think you can hear from councillors that we're very keen to support, and it looks like we'll find a way through that will change the resolution to meet those needs.
Thank you.
Thank you.